Good morning, students. Today I will be talking about how to calculate energy content of different food items, followed by how to identify food items with low and high glycemic index and explain the importance of these in the diet. According to the MCI curriculum, the competency addressed in this LCD is part of BI 11.23, where I will be talking about how to calculate energy content of different food items, identify food items with high or low glycemic index, and explain the importance of these in the diet. The learning objective of this LCD are as following. At the end of this learning session, the students will be able to know how to calculate the energy content of different food items, identify food items with high or low glycemic index, and explain the importance of these in the diet. Further, carbohydrates, fats and proteins and alcohols are energy-rich foods. Now their energy yield in the body has to be known to use them in formulating a diet. Now there is convincing evidence from a large body of research that low glycemic index, glycemic load diet reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes and coronary heart disease. It also helps to control blood glucose in people with diabetes and also helps them with weight management. Let's look at how to calculate energy content of different food items. Let's look at some definitions first. Calorific value of food. Now this refers to the energy of the food released in the body on oxidation, and it is expressed in calories or kilocalories. Next, what is calorie? A calorie is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. 1 kilocalorie is 1000 calories, and 1 kilojoule is approximately 1/4 of 1 kilocalories. Let's look at what tools we have to measure the food energy. It was shown by Anthony Lavoisier that the energy released by a food inside the body is the same as it is released outside on oxidation in presence of oxygen. So by following this principle, if we are to oxidize a food in the presence of oxygen in a closed chamber, the energy released as heat can be measured by a bomb calorimeter built into the oxidation chamber. Now this table shows the calorific value of different foods. For carbohydrate it is 4 calories per gram, fats it is 9 calories, and alcohol it is 7 calories per gram. It is to be noted that the energy values obtained by bomb calorimeter for carbohydrates, fats and alcohol is approximately equal to the values obtained by in vivo oxidation. But for proteins, this is not true. The energy values obtained by bomb calorimeter is more as compared to in vivo oxidation, and this is because of incomplete oxidation of proteins. Now let's identify food items with high and low glycemic index and explain the importance of these in the diet. Now let's look at the definition of glycemic index. The glycemic index or GI is defined as a ranking of carbohydrates on a scale from 0 to 100 according to the extent to which they will raise the blood sugar or glucose levels after eating. Now foods with a high GI are those which are rapidly digested and they are absorbed, metabolized and results in marked fluctuation in blood sugar or glucose levels. Now low GI or carbohydrates are the ones that produce smaller fluctuation in your blood glucose and insulin levels and is one of the secrets to long-term health, reducing your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart diseases. Now it is one of the keys to maintain weight loss. Now, how do we measure glycemic index? Now, GI value of a food is determined by feeding 10 or more healthy people a portion of the food containing 50 grams of digestible, that is available carbohydrate. and then measuring the effect on their blood glucose level over the next 2 hours. Just to be mindful that this is the available carbohydrate. The weight of the food may be different, but in that the available carbohydrate should be equivalent to around 50 grams. Now, for each person, the area under their 2 hours blood glucose response, glucose AUC, which is known as glucose AUC, for this food is then measured. Now, on other occasions, so this is another occasion, so the people have to come on a different day. The same 10 people consumes an equal carbohydrate portion of the sugar glucose. So this is the reference food. So glucose is the reference food, and their 2 hour blood glucose response is also measured. Next, GI value for the test food is then calculated for each person by dividing their glucose AUC for the test food by their glucose AUC for the reference food and expressed as percentage. Now the final value of the GI value for the test food is the average of GI values for these 10 people. Now this is how the graph looks for the glycemic index measurement. On the x-axis is the time and on the y-axis is the blood glucose levels. Please note that the amount of carbohydrates in the reference food and test food must be same. Glycemic index of common foods. Now pure glucose arbitrarily is given the value of 100, and a food is considered to have a low GI if it is 55 or less, high GI if 70 or more, and mid-range GI if 56 to 69. Now in this slide I am showing the GI of common foods. As you can see, starting from breakfast we always have an option of low GI, medium GI and high GI foods as shown in this slide. For example, low GI you have oat bran, medium GI Nutri-Grain, high GI cornflakes, and so on. Similarly, for vegetables, we have options of low GI, medium GI, and high GI. And while you are selecting the vegetables, you can be informed that which vegetables to choose from and plan your meal. Similarly, for fruits, we have low GI fruits like cherries, plums, grapefruits, peaches, apples, pear. Medium GI, we have mango, bananas, papaya, figs, pineapple. High GI, we have watermelon, dates. And for the staples, we can have low GI as new potatoes, brown rice, buckwheat, also known as kuttu ka atta in Hindi language, white long grain rice. Medium, we have basmati rice, caucus, cornmeal, baked potatoes. And high GI, we have instant white rice, glutinous rice, short grain rice, instant mashed potatoes. So you can go through the link given in this slide to explore further different kinds of food and their GI. It will be an interesting exercise for you. Similarly, I am providing here this search engine. You can go to this link where you can search for a food and it will give you the GI and other information about the food. For example, I searched for the rice as it is a staple diet, and I got the GI of various varieties of rice, and this information will help you in planning a meal in various situations. Now similarly, there is another tool given by this Glycemic Index Foundation. This is known as SwapIt tool, uh, where you will be given options of low GI for various common food items in our daily routine. For example, this high GI rice have very different varieties of high GI rice like jasmine, calrose, alborio rice. You can swap it for low GI rice, basmati, black rice, red rice, wild rice. Similarly, for high GI noodles, like dried rice noodle, instant noodle. You can swap it for some soba noodles, Hokkien noodles, vermicelli noodle, buckwheat noodle, fresh rice noodle, moong bean noodle as well. Now it will be interesting to explore this website for your own choice of food. There is another term which you should be familiar, and this is glycemic load. Now, glycemic load is the amount of carbohydrate in a food adjusted for raising the person blood glucose level after consumption. Now, 1 unit of glycemic load approximates the effect of eating 1 gram of glucose. Now, glycemic load is a function of the quantity of carbohydrate intake, that is the serving size, how much you are taking, and the quality of carbohydrate is its glycemic index. So it combines both. Now the formula is glycemic load is equal to glycemic index into the amount of carbohydrate divided by 100. Now again, you can see in this example, for example, the GI of let's take this example of a apple. So it has a GI of 40, glycemic index of 40, and it contains 15 grams of carbohydrate. So how you will calculate the glycemic load? So 40 into 15 divided by 100, so it's equal to 6 grams. So that's how we calculate the glycemic load. So we all know that you are what you eat, so it's good to make healthy choices, as we have seen from this knowledge of glycemic index, glycemic load. And now further we will see what are the benefits of choosing foods with low glycemic index. There are many benefits of low GI diet. Food with low GI should be preferred, for example, in the management of diabetes. A number of research studies have shown that a healthy low GI diet helps people with diabetes type 1 and 2 manage their blood glucose levels, blood cholesterol levels, and reduce insulin resistance, which is important for reducing the risk of long term diabetes related complications. Similarly, in gestational diabetes, the International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics have given guidelines which states that low GI diets are associated with less frequent insulin use and low birth weight than in controlled diets, suggesting that it is the most appropriate dietary intervention to be prescribed to patients with GDM. And also, it helps to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Similarly, a low GI diet helps to maintain healthy heart. So this low GI diet can improve health heart by helping to reduce post-meal blood glucose levels, so thereby improving the elasticity of blood vessel walls and blood flow, further improving the blood cholesterol levels. For example, this study showed an analysis of 28 randomized controlled trials provided high level evidence that high fiber low GI diet can significantly reduce total and LDL cholesterol levels independent of weight loss, reducing the risk of atherosclerosis, a chronic disease affecting blood vessels, by reducing inflammation and aiding in abdominal fat reduction. Other benefits which are seen are reduced breast cancer risk. Studies have shown that consuming high GI diet for 5 years or longer may increase the risk of breast cancer by 8% compared with a low GI diet. Similarly, in the management of polycystic ovarian syndrome, women suffering from polycystic ovarian syndrome often develops a resistance to the hormone insulin, which is needed to keep blood glucose level stable. Now, following a healthy low GI diet improves insulin sensitivity and is one of the best and proven ways to help managing uh, polycystic ovarian syndrome symptoms such as unwanted weight gain. These are some of the references for your help, so you can go through them, and these are the interesting links which will help you explore your knowledge on further on GI, glycemic index. I hope you have enjoyed your learning today. Please let me know if you have any queries. Study well and keep safe. Thanks.